Guys, it's time to talk about Gideon the Ninth. Now I have to think of an intro. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Abigail's Bookshelf, where I will just do book reviews, and it won't be anything more complicated than that. Welcome back to Abigail's Bookshelf. This is part 2 of my 30 for 30 series, where I'm talking about 30 books that were very formative to me. First part, if you have not watched, is I'll link it here. And that was basically going over books from childhood through kind of adolescence and like my college years, so very early adult years. This part will be going over books that I read mostly in my 20s that broke me or fixed me, depending on how you want to look at it. So here we go with part 2, 30 for 30. So, part 2. I've been 30 for a week now. And honestly, I do feel different, but it could be that I just bought a new lipstick. And you know how like when you get a new lipstick and it kind of makes you act different? That's kind of what I've been going through. So I don't know how much of it is the lipstick and how much of it is being 30, but hey, I'm having fun. So let's talk about some books. First set of books on my list, long awaited, the Locked Tomb series, is going to be the first 3 books on today's list. Because how I could have survived my 20s without this book series, I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. This book series is my favorite book series of all time, hands down. No further questions, Your Honor. Case closed. It's a life sentence, unfortunately. Yeah, it's going to be until death. Sorry. That's just, I feel like Tamsyn Muir would have to do like war crimes, like genuine real life war crimes for me to say that these are not my favorite books. And like I said in the last part, this series is not so much going over what these books are about. They're more about like why they're important to me. However, with that said, I will eventually be doing a unhinged recap of the Locked Tomb series in preparation for the eventual release of Electo the Ninth. When she comes, we'll be ready. But this basically what you need to know about this book series if you're not already aware of it. Lesbian necromancers in space. So that's kind of the gist. And it's so much more fucked up than that. But that's kind of like the broad strokes idea. That's how I would pitch it to you if I was selling it to you. So I always try to recommend it to people that I genuinely think like can handle it. Because it really is such a like a leap of faith. Tamsyn Muir tells you absolutely nothing about what's going on. And you just have to kind of figure it out. You have to like really, it's a really a trust the process book series, but it is so rewarding. There is a plot twist in the second book that remains to me one of the most satisfying plot twists I've ever read or ever like, and I don't think anything could compare to how satisfying this was, because I read the first book, loved it, devoured it, immediately started reading the second book, was so confused, was frustrated, was like vaguely pissed off. I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was so different tonally and almost like genre different. Like the first book was very haunted house in space, very like it blended the divide between fantasy and sci-fi really well. Second book was just like psychological thriller in space. I don't know. It was so stressful to read and not know what was going on. But once you hit that plot twist and everything like comes clear to you, oh my god, it's a euphoria that have been chasing for the past 3 years. I read the first 2 books back to back, finished the second book, started the first book over, read the second book again, and then around that time is when Nona came out, the third book, and so I picked up the third book, flew through that one, and it is a series that I regularly read 1 to 2 times a year, and I am not a big rereader, but I do read these books frequently. They are my comfort books. I love them. I think they're perfect. They're so fun. They're so complicated. They're so messy. There's so many free girls in these books. And they're just such a joy to read. And I love them. I love them so much. They're so good. So I'm gonna struggle to find the words. But I'm going to do an unhinged recap, and I'm gonna walk you through everything that happens if you've already read them, so that you can catch up for Electo, jog your memory. Because I'm also gonna need to do that because there's so many like little details to keep track of. I'm so excited, so excited for Electo. May she come kind of soon. It's been Nona came out in 2022, so we're still waiting. There's no news. There's no release date. So but I'm patient. I'm gonna wait because I know it's gonna be so good and so satisfying. I don't even care. Right? You know what, Tamsyn? Take your time. Write 47 of these books. I will be here for you for the rest of my life. Rock on, girl. You know what? Take your time. You know what? Take your time. Do what you need to do. I love you and thank you. Second series on the list today. Again, these are in no particular order. These are just kind of as they occur to me. This is the order that I am reviewing them in. I can't rank them. I won't rake them, not even under pain of death. Gideon is number one. So this is just, we're going with the flow. No ranking. Gideon is number one. These are all my favorite books. I love them all equally. Gideon is number one. Second series is the Radiant Emperor duology by Shelley Parker Chan. Let me tell you what, guys. Gideon inspired in me a need to read the books over and over and over again so that they never could get out of my head. When I finished the second book of the Radiant Emperor series, I could not read for 30 days. I literally had to fast emotionally because I could not read a single thing. That book ruined me in such a way. And I think this is just such a beautiful series, and it's two books, and it's sort of a fantastical retelling of the rise of one of China's emperors. I can't tell you which one it is. So, and I believe that the historical accuracy is played with fast and loose as it should be. So it's like, an ancient China. There's a little bit of magic involved, but I wouldn't say it's like hard fantasy. And it's about this person, Zhu, who is trying to become the emperor. And it's brilliant. It's beautifully written, which is always like a huge bonus for me. The characters are fascinating. The world building and the settings are very intriguing. But for me, I think this book was like one of the first that I read that really messed with gender in a really interesting way. And not like messed with, but like it was talking about gender in a way that I'd never read before in fiction, much less in fantasy fiction, which always surprises me because I feel like of all of the places for you to like get weird with gender and sexuality, fantasy should be the place to do that. You're making up everything, nothing is real. But this book like really does very interesting things with gender and with how people deal with their genders and deal with the sort of societal expectations that are put on them and how our genders are like tied or not to our fates. And it was such a compelling, like, I found myself thinking a lot about the characters and like what they were feeling and why. And like it really just stuck with me the way that Shelley Parker Chan kind of like messed around with gender and made that like a very forward theme of the novel as a whole. But yeah, so there's a character, I'm probably gonna pronounce his name wrong because I don't listen to audiobooks. Yang, love him down bad. Love him down so bad. He is the most fucked up freak. And he has horrible, horrible ideas. And he's so confused and he's so confusing. And I cherish him with my whole entire heart. I think he is so fascinating. I love really complicated and messed up characters. And he just like, he fits the bill in such a way. He fits a bill in such a way. I really urge you to pick this up if you're at all interested in fantasy that really kind of plays with gender a lot and plays with gender expectation a lot. Beautiful series. I wish there were 47 of them, but I'm waiting for Shelley Parker Chan to publish anything else. I need something from them so bad. I'm waiting so patiently. I'm being so good, I swear. Love that series. Please pick them up. Please pick them up and read them and make them famous because wow. Also, there's a fisting scene. Anyway, next on the list are the Farseer trilogy, or Realm of the Underlings, I guess. The way that Robin Hobb has set up this group of books is a little bit confusing. So basically, the first three, the Assassin's Apprentice books, and then the second trilogy that's based off of that. I've read her other stuff, but I'm here for Fitz. Hey guys, I'm here for Fitz, and that's kind of it. And I'm seated for him, and I'm listening to him, and I love him. And if Fitz is in it, I am there. I love Fitz Chivalry Farseer with in a way. If Fitz asked me to kill any other book character, I might do it. Hey, it would be really hard, but I think I would do it. Even Gideon is number one. No, I don't want to say something I regret. I love Fitz. I love Fitz. He's such a compelling character. And I was like very biased when I started this book series because I was like, I don't care about boys. Boys are stupid. I want to read books about girls and non binaries. And I just couldn't think of a world in which I would care enough about a teenage boy to keep reading the book series. And Robin Hobb said, heard, and hate Fitz Chivalry Impossible Edition. I couldn't hate him if he did genocide. I wouldn't hate him. Sorry, I wouldn't. I love Fitz Chivalry Farseer. He's so stupid. He's just so fucking stupid. And I think that that's like why I find him so compelling and why I find the series so compelling is because like he's a teenage boy in the first 3 books. He makes dumb mistakes, but they're so, I think, well reasoned, and his character is so well developed that I'm reading it and I'm like, I understand that's what you believe, baby. I know that's what you think is right. It is not right. And I know that we're all going to suffer for this, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think that that's really compelling when you can have a character that is making mistakes and making errors and just has like the worst judgment. And I'm still rooting for him and I'm still wanting him to turn out all right because I know that he's just a kid and he doesn't know any better. Love him. And then in the second series, that series takes place about 15, I think it's like 15-ish years after the end of the first trilogy, book 3. And the end of that book ruined my life. And not to be dramatic, it ruined my life. I was very upset for months. I could not pick up the next series because my feelings were so hurt. And I was like, there's no way that Robin Hobb is going to make me feel okay about this. I'm going to be upset about this for the rest of my life. And I think I will be. However, the next set of books, the way that she dealt with the evil stuff that she did to me at the end of book 3, beautiful. Beautiful, amazing. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she makes such interesting people doing dumb things. And like, I will say, I think like her overall sort of magic and like the arcs that are going on are a little bit late, like building the plane in the air sometimes, but the characters are so good. The plot is so riveting. The writing is very beautiful. It's first person, which again is something I don't usually read and also is not usually very common in adult fantasy, but there you go. She does it great. She does it great. Robin Hobb's a genius. And while these books are not queer explicitly, in my opinion, so far yet, I've only read the first. I still have one more series of books about Fitz and the Fool. It's gay to me. Hey, it's gay to me. In my heart, when I lay my head down at night, it's gay to me. Fitz and the Fool, their dynamic, God, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up she does this to me and I let her do it. It's like, honestly, it's almost as messed up as Gideon and Harrow, and that's high praise. So, beautiful series, so much fun. I love them. I feel like Fitz is my best friend and I want to look after him, but he's so stupid. Ugh, so stupid. I love him so much. I love him so much. I hope it's not queer baiting. I really, really hope it's not queer baiting. And while I know that I have a tendency to read things queer, I genuinely feel like they have a very deep emotional relationship and they deserve to be in love. So if it's queer baiting, I'm going to be very upset. Don't tell me in the comments if it is. But I love this series. I'm very excited to keep reading it. And like, I find myself like really kind of dragging my feet on it because I don't want it to be over because I love those idiots so much and I want to spend the rest of my life with them. But I can't, and that's really depressing. So it's like, do you have the Gideon situation where you're like waiting years and years for the last book to come out, or do you have the Fitz situation where they're all out and you have to choose when it's over? You know, and I hate it. So anyway, the Poppy Wars. These books got me back into fantasy. I read them for the first time back in 2021. devoured them. I got very lucky and I happened to pick up the first book and then read the second book, and then the third book came out within a week. And that was luck. That was Wren looking out for me. That's what that was. That was Wren looking out for me. She was divine guiding me. Great books, great series. It is very dark. It is very intense. It is very sad and very depressing, but it's so good. It's so beautifully written. There's so many messed up people. I hope you're catching on to the theme that I like really messed up people. So that's kind of where we're going. This series kind of got me back into reading a lot as an adult, got me back into fantasy. It was probably like I would say one of the first books on my like adult queer awakening, because Wren is, well, I think she's asexual / aromantic. She has no like romantic relationships with anyone in the book. She's very deep friendships with people and very beautiful rivalries with people, but no romance. And I found that like very interesting because that's not super common in books, especially books with female main characters in fantasy. And so it was very interesting to read that. It was very refreshing to me to have that kind of space and like not be bombarded with, you know, kind of like the romantic-y, straight, heteronormative relationships all the time. Before I read Poppy Wars, I was reading Court of Thorns and Roses. Hey, girl, don't judge. Girl, we all have to get back into reading someplace. I read those books. I loved those books. And then I read other stuff and I said, oh, wait a second. You're telling me we could have been doing this the whole time? Okay, so we'll get rid of those. Give me more of the gay stuff. I want gay people. I want messed up people. And there's just not enough of that going on in ACOTAR, and I think it would really benefit from it. I'm just saying. Anyway, I think that the Poppy Wars gave me a little bit of space to like think about sexuality in a different way and to like just like give myself a break from like all of the hetero messaging that's just like blasting into my brain 24/7 from music, movies, TV, dating shows, books, like everything around you all the time, always talking about being in a heterosexual relationship. And so it was really nice to read a book where there wasn't that. There was a little bit of a space to like let me think about things differently. And there was Vinka. And I'm gonna let her have it. I'm gonna let her have being my queer awakening. Vinka. I'm always thinking about her. She was so interesting. And I know I sound like a broken record just being like, people are interesting and they're messed up and they're gay. But like, she was very compelling. And I really enjoy a very compelling character. I'm a character reader, if you can't tell. And I can't talk about the Poppy Wars without also talking about my number one, my morally gray, my favorite evil man, Neja. That guy needs to be in a high security prison. Like, he's so wow. I just love when a really sad boy becomes evil. I think it's very interesting. And God, he was so evil. He was just an insane person, and I loved him. Wonderful, wonderful book series. Lots of fun. Also, I would say one of the books that kind of got me out of like the white European medieval sort of genre of fantasy and into like way more diverse books and more diverse settings and stories. And 10 out of 10 recommend. Love the Poppy Wars. Love them. Okay, last 3 books on our list. They're not all standalones, but one of them, I only picked the first book. So first up, Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I often think that like, I deeply believe that you read books when you need them. When you're ready for them, they come into your life and you read them at the right time. However, I think if I could have read Howl's Moving Castle as a child, things would have been different for me. They would have been different for me. I was familiar with the anime. I remember kind of watching it on TV a little bit when I was a kid, but I didn't read the book until I was out of college. I'm not sure exactly when, but Maggie Stiefvater, who I talked about in my last video, was doing a read along for Howl's Moving Castle. And so I read it for the first time and I loved it. It was so charming. It was so funny. It was so eldest daughter energy. And if you've only ever seen the anime, I highly urge you to read the book as well. It's so cute. It's so fun. And there's a plot twist in there that's not in the anime that I guess I kind of understand why it's not in the anime, but it was just it's so central to why I love the book. And so I highly recommend that you read it if you have not. Love this book series. I named my cat Hal Jenkins Pendragon after the main character. And you know what? I've had to live with that choice ever since, because he heard that and he took that seriously, and he's made it his life's mission to be the great Hal Jenkins. Howley is elbows deep in my drawer. What are you doing? There's nothing in there for you. You can't spell, you can't write, you don't need pens. The audacity of that guy. God, wait. I'm talking when he gets pissed off, he turns slimy. I'm talking mischievousness coming out of his ears. Like, he's such a stinker. And he very much fits that character. He understood the assignment and he did the assignment, and it's my fault at the end of the day. I love this book. It's so fun. It's so cute. It's so whimsical. Just like a really foundational piece of fantasy literature for me. 10 out of 10. Please read it if you haven't yet. Next up is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. And this is the book that I just picked the first book. I'm not gonna lie, I think the second two books lost a little bit of steam. Book 2 gets mad points for me because it took me on an Iktan Jala buddy quest, which I needed so bad, and it was great. But I think I was a little bit disappointed with how the series ended. I feel like it didn't quite meet its full potential. I wish it would have been a little slowed down and like a little bit more. I felt like it didn't live up to the promises that were made in the first book. And the promises made in the first book were big promises. And that's why I loved the first book so much. It was so intense and it was so like cinematic and it was so like dark, and I feel like that didn't make it all the way through for me personally. But this is just such a great fantasy. I highly recommend it. It's brilliant. It's basically a pre-Columbian America inspired fantasy series, and so it pulls heavily from Native American tribes in the US. It pulls heavily from Aztec and Incan and Polynesian cultures. And it's so cool. The world building, it's so original. I've never read anything like it. I still have not read anything like it. It's about gods and it's about belief and it's about tradition and it's about like the burden of legacy, and it's so good. Serapio, one of the greats, especially in the first book. He was so good in the first book. I love someone that's like really feral and just raised without any sort of real concept of like how normal people behave, and then they're just like let out into the world and they just act insane, and everyone around them is like, were you raised in a cave? And Serapio kind of was, and I love that for him. And I love how he just like refuses to be civilized at all. He's great. He's creepy and he's like a crow god, and he's like got scars and his eyelids are sewn shut. It's just, oh, it's so good. It's so good and dark. Other top character is Iktan. Oh my god, I love Iktan, the Prince of Knives. They are just danger, and I love it. I love that for them. They are a knife. They only know how to cut, and God, don't you just love to watch everyone bleed? Wow. So good. If you have not read this book series, please pick it up. At least the first book. So good. So original. So genius. Love, 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 love. Last book on the list, my 30 for 30, is Kindling by Traci Chee. I can't. Oh, this book is so good. I think one of the things for me that makes this book in this list is its skill with craft. Like, oh my gosh. So the whole book is written in second person, and there are 7 points of view. It's a retelling of the Seven Samurai story, fantasy inspired. All she's and theys and she days. And it's like it's kind of following the events of this really traumatic war where a lot of children were drafted for their magical abilities, and like obviously were deeply scarred by the war, and all of these characters are kind of dealing with their role in that war while also trying to save this village from like a bandit group. So I think what's really amazing, first of all, it's in second person, like I said. That's hard to do. That is so hard to sell. It's so hard to do. Traci Chee did it perfectly. Like it does take you a second to like get into the groove of it, because it's like you blah blah blah, you blah 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 blah, and it can be hard to like let your mind readjust to that. But when it does, eventually like you won't even notice that it's happening. But she does it so well, and the payoff at the end for like why it's in second person, wow, wow, oh, give me chills. I just got chills. It's so good. It's so 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 good. And then on top of that, to have 6 or 7 points of view and for me to be equally invested in every single point of view. Often I read books with like 3 points of view and I'm like, there are at least 1 to 2 people here who I would prefer did not speak. I wanted it. I was looking forward to every single chapter in Kindling. Every single person had such a compelling story. Every single person was so interesting, had their own points of view, had their own struggle, and it was all so compelling. There were no filler characters. There were no like nothing felt like, oh, we're just throwing this in here so we can, meet the bill of the Seven Samurai story. It was so good. It was so good, and I found myself continually so surprised that it was so effective. It's so cool. I've still to this day never read anything like that, and it kind of so. One of my other favorite books, it didn't quite make the list, it was close, is the Baroque Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. And there's also an aspect of second person in that book. Again, very satisfying once you figure out what's going on. However, it's only like a couple of chapters here and there. It's not the whole book. And so like that was when I started this book, that was what I knew about second person. I was like, it's gonna be really hard for her to live up to N.K. Jemisin. And she did. And she took it in a whole new way. And like it's so genius. And that book really kind of opened my eyes to the different, just like how skillful you can be as a writer and how many different things that you can do if you really just like commit to your craft and like work really hard on it and make it just perfect. And it's so good. Great, great book. Wonderful, beautiful. 10 out of 10. A lot of freak girls in there if you're into that, which if you're watching this, you probably are. Love. Traci, Chee, you're a genius. Hey, girl, congrats. Snaps for you. I couldn't do that in my dreams. So hats off. And that is going to wrap up our 30 for 30. That's 30 books that were really foundational for me. And like I said, I'm sure I kind of started to sound like a broken record because I kept saying, oh, I like freaks. Oh, I like sexuality and gender done in different ways. Oh, I like messed up people who are just like sad and evil. And yeah, that is kind of what I like. I am a big character reader. I like really complicated people. I like stories that don't really have an answer and that are not, you know, there's no heroes in it. It's just people trying to do their best. And I love that. And I think that that's just something that I live my life by. So be a bigger freak and do your best. And that's my advice to all of you who are approaching your 30s. Maybe if you're not in your 30s yet, read weird books, love weird people, and get into some free girl shit. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye. Sorry if that was incoherent.